going to keep zipping along here. Next, we have Melanie Williams. She's going to speak about the Lake Data Collection App concept. Melanie is the River Basin Planner for the state of North Carolina and lead coordinator of the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality's ArcGIS online organization. She graduated from UNCW in 2005 with a BA in Environmental Studies. Let's hear it from Melanie.
Okay, so I was actually supposed to do a talk on the lake collection application that we built a couple of months ago, right before they started soliciting talks. However, shortly after we developed the application and deployed it, not only did we find that this really was not the best tool for the application, but we also found new hardware that was amazing and just had Bluetooth and automatically uploaded all of our data to servers. So kind of indicated the point of needing the application. So I thought I would instead show you our emergency management application that is somewhat in the works. We have not fully tested it yet, but one thing that we learned in the Division of Water Resources during Hurricane Matthew was that we have a lot of applications and tools that could have made this process for reporting incidences significantly easier. So after the hurricane hit, we decided to take another look at how this whole process is being done of reporting incidences that are in our purview. So the current process for reporting these incidences are that we get calls from either folks in our regional offices that have a lot of detail about the incidences, like there was a spill here, this is how many gallons were spilled, and this is the facility it came from, or the property it came from, or we're getting information from the facility staff, or we're getting information from just the general public that doesn't know a whole lot about what's going on, but they can tell you what they see, which is great information to know, but it coming from all different sources, it's kind of hard to make sure that you have everything that you need. Especially during an incident, you're just trying to grab as much as you can. So once those calls come in, they come into our regional offices or to the situation room, and depending on where they're coming, they may get recorded in different forms and different formats. So it is then the responsibility of the 7 regional office supervisors to take all of that information, summarize it into what they call a SIT report, and then not only hand that data and information off, but then they have to deal with the actual incidences themselves. That's a lot of work to put on just 7 people. So once that information is passed over, they pass it over to our public information officers in our central office, who they compile all of these SIT reports from the different divisions and then hand it over to the governor. So there is a lot of summary of all this data, and it's generally typed into Word. They'll do the best they can to summarize the numbers, and they're usually discussing specific instances that are kind of a big deal. So kind of a lot of data gets lost, and it ends up being the public information officer's job to then report all of these numbers out to the public and to the governor in some informative way, which can be kind of difficult to do. So the challenge really is that for us, being the GIS folks, trying to get all of this information kind of in a map that might help the public information officers kind of do their jobs a little bit better, was that not only is it being written down on pieces of paper, but then those pieces of paper were being handed off to also some central office folks that hand typed it all in to 3 different databases that we then had to pull out of those databases in different formats and mash it all together and try and figure out how to make sense of it all. So by the time it got to our hands, we're looking at maybe 24 to 36 hours later. That's a pretty big lag time when you're looking at an incident of this nature. So sometimes this data was incomplete and kind of all over the place. So we needed to streamline the process. So the application that we decided to start looking at was Survey 123. At DEQ, we don't actually have an ARC server that we could readily use. So we need to make sure that everything can be done in the cloud or in some other way. So Survey 123 was kind of our best bet. And the goal was to have an application that we could enter in just a whole variety of information without being too cumbersome, having way too many fields, and kind of help speed up the process of those actually in the field doing the reporting. They report on things from oil spills to fish kills to sanitary sewer overflows, and all of these things have different questions. So we didn't want to add all of the questions into this gigantic form that they had to scroll through if something didn't apply to them. So we needed something that was more condensed. And Survey 123 had a few more options that the collector app and the GeoForm couldn't really do for us for this particular purpose. And one of those things was allowing the conditional questions. This was kind of a huge thing to help reduce the size of the forms themselves. So if you had a question about, if we had information of the person reporting the incident, then you can click yes, and then you can actually fill out the first name, the last name, and all of their information. If not, you hit no, go down to the next question. And you don't even see those fields. The other thing that I really liked was the ability to update records. And this, I'll talk a little bit more about this later, but allows you to basically add a record to the original record. So you're putting it into a related table, and it's attached to that first point that you did. So that would allow them to, once they go back out to that incident and things have improved or declined, they can keep that updated. It also allows you to have the control over field domains if you need that as well. So unlike, if you have collector, then you can create a geodatabase and have all of your field domains attached to your geodatabase and upload that. This allows you to do the same thing. It's a little bit faster to kind of see it and step through it. Wow, okay, that was fast. Okay, so this slide was just kind of showing you some of the different field layouts that you can have in terms of like multiple choice questions that you can do the radio buttons or kind of a slider type thing. You can have a big box for field text. You can take your pictures, and just above you can see where they can tap on the map and collect their geo points. And this kind of gives you an example of adding the updates. This allows you to keep the date and the time of your original entry and allow you to add a date and time of your update, which was kind of critical for us. And then the other thing I really liked was the autofill option, so that I could add all of the counties and they don't have to type in the county and they don't have to pick from a really long list of counties. You can just start typing it in and it'll pop up. So once all of this information is collected, then you can see in the map, or the PIOs can actually use the built-in interface to collect their quick data summaries. So overall, main point that we learned from developing the Survey 123 was it was really easy to do. And by having this ability to have the form and the table right next to each other, you were able to edit the form in real time and see your changes reflected instantly. And it made things really easy. Didn't have to keep re-uploading geodatabases. So, questions? That's it.
Oh, thank you. Great.